Hello and welcome. Brace yourself for 31 amazing questions that will test your brilliance. Hello and welcome. Game on. Get ready for 31 exciting challenges. What part of the brain controls balance and coordination? Cerebellum, cerebrum, medulla. The correct answer is cerebellum. Here's an interesting fact: the cerebellum helps control movement and balance. What do mitochondria do in a cell? Produce energy, store water, digest food. The correct answer is produce energy. Here's an interesting fact: mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell, creating energy. What carries genetic information in cells? DNA, protein, chlorophyll. The correct answer is DNA. Here's an interesting fact: DNA contains the genetic instructions for organisms. Why do we need hemoglobin in blood? To carry oxygen, to fight viruses, to digest fats. The correct answer is to carry oxygen. Here's an interesting fact: hemoglobin binds to oxygen and carries it through the body. Which system removes waste from our body? Excretory, respiratory, circulatory. The correct answer is excretory. Here's an interesting fact: the excretory system includes kidneys, which remove waste. What is photosynthesis? Making food using sunlight. Breathing. Digestion in animals. The correct answer is making food using sunlight. Here's an interesting fact: plants use sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water to make food. How do vaccines work? Train immune system. Kill germs directly. Replace organs. The correct answer is train immune system. Here's an interesting fact: vaccines help the body recognize and fight viruses early. What part of a plant absorbs water from soil? Roots, stem, leaves. The correct answer is roots. Here's an interesting fact: roots absorb water and minerals from the soil. Which human organ is most responsible for filtering blood? Kidneys, liver, lungs. The correct answer is kidneys. Here's an interesting fact: the kidneys filter waste and excess fluids from the blood. What part of the eye controls the amount of light entering? Pupil, lens, iris. The correct answer is iris. Here's an interesting fact. The iris adjusts the pupil size based on light intensity. What gives plants their green color? Chlorophyll, cellulose, xylem. The correct answer is chlorophyll. Here's an interesting fact. Chlorophyll absorbs sunlight and gives plants a green color. What connects bones to muscles? Tendons, ligaments, nerves. The correct answer is tendons. Here's an interesting fact. Tendons attach muscles to bones to enable movement. What is the function of white blood cells? Fight infection, carry oxygen, clot blood. The correct answer is fight infection. Here's an interesting fact. White blood cells defend the body from disease. Where does digestion begin? Mouth, stomach, small intestine. The correct answer is mouth. Here's an interesting fact. Digestion begins when food is broken down by chewing and saliva. What is a neuron? A nerve cell, a blood vessel, a bone. The correct answer is a nerve cell. Here's an interesting fact. Neurons carry signals through the brain and nervous system. What causes a person to sneeze? Irritation in nose, heart skip, low blood pressure. The correct answer is irritation in nose. Here's an interesting fact. Sneezing clears irritants from nasal passages. What does the liver do? Filters toxins, pumps blood, stores oxygen. The correct answer is filters toxins. Here's an interesting fact. The liver detoxifies chemicals and produces bile. Why are amphibians unique? Live in water and land. Have fur. Only fly. The correct answer is live in water and land. Here's an interesting fact. Amphibians live part of life in water and part on land. Which organ allows birds to fly efficiently? Lungs with air sacs, heavy bones, short wings. The correct answer is lungs with air sacs. Here's an interesting fact. Birds have special lungs with air sacs for high oxygen exchange. What is an ecosystem? Living and non-living things together. Only animals. Only plants. The correct answer is living and non-living things together. Here's an interesting fact: an ecosystem includes all living things and their environment. What does the pancreas help regulate? Blood sugar, breathing, heartbeat. The correct answer is blood sugar. Here's an interesting fact: the pancreas makes insulin to control blood sugar levels. What's the largest organ in the human body? Skin, liver, lungs, the correct answer is skin. Here's an interesting fact: skin protects the body and helps regulate temperature. What are stem cells? Cells that can become any type. Only muscle cells. Only brain cells. The correct answer is cells that can become any type. Here's an interesting fact: stem cells can develop into many different kinds of cells. How do fish breathe underwater? Gills, lungs, skin. The correct answer is gills. Here's an interesting fact: gills extract oxygen from water as it flows over them. What is biodiversity? Variety of life. Size of Earth. Amount of sunlight. The correct answer is variety of life. Here's an interesting fact: biodiversity means all different species in one area. Which system in the body controls hormones? Endocrine, digestive, circulatory. The correct answer is endocrine. Here's an interesting fact: the endocrine system includes glands that release hormones. What is a virus made of? Genetic material and protein. Water and fat. Iron and protein. The correct answer is genetic material and protein. Here's an interesting fact: viruses are tiny particles with DNA or RNA in a protein coat. What is adaptation? Change to survive. Change for fun. Random shape change. The correct answer is change to survive. Here's an interesting fact: adaptations help organisms live in their environment. How do insects breathe? Through spiracles. Through mouth. Through gills. The correct answer is through spiracles. Here's an interesting fact: spiracles are tiny holes on the body used for breathing. What is a food web? A network of feeding relationships. A spider's web. A list of foods. The correct answer is a network of feeding relationships. Here's an interesting fact. A food web shows how different organisms eat and are eaten. What is a reflex action? Automatic response. Learned reaction. Conscious decision. The correct answer is automatic response. Here's an interesting fact. Reflexes are fast responses to protect the body. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. Stay tuned for more exciting content, and we'll catch you in the next one.